Hello! So, I hope you've had a wonderful holiday. I'm still wearing the blanket because nice and cozy and this cold day. Um, yeah, it's winter. So, I might keep the blanket for a little bit. Anyway, today's video is going to be 25 books to read in 2025. I had written a list for 24 books to read in 2024. I kind of failed at that. I only read 4 or 5 of them. that's kind of sad. So some of those have been put into this list, but I also added some new books. So I'm not going to tell you which transferred over, but we'll just go through the list. Anyway, it's pretty heavily Brandon Sanderson. He has 9 of these 25 books. So that is a lot. But I am gonna do my best. So let's start off. This isn't really in any order of preference or anything. And I kind of already got the library hold for one of these books, so I may be starting it before 2025. But I probably won't finish it until 2025, so that's alright, I think. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with our list. So the first book I wrote was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, which I was hoping to get to this year. Did not. So that is on the list. And as well as Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. Those are the last 2 of the Secret Project books that I have left to read. So I would like to get to them. And then I have I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. This came out this year, I think. And I just didn't get around to it. But I really want to. It sounds like a lot of fun. Then we have The Rhythmatist, which is an older Sanderson book. It's a standalone, and it's actually short in comparison to all of his other books, because it was a middle grade, I believe. So yeah, that'll be fun. A nice little break from the big ones. Next we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I watched the movie. I haven't read the book yet, so I want to read the book. And then this one I'm going to probably be starting before the new year because I already got it from the library, or it's going to be from the library in next week. And that is The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. I think that's how you say it. It's a historical fiction that sounds really interesting about the first midwife. I think she was the first. And she saved 1,000 babies during a time where, maternal death and infant death was very high. So it'll be fun to learn about her. And then the next one I have is an interesting one because it's a book about statistics, which, doesn't sound all that exciting, but I'm curious. And it's called The Lady Drinking Tea by David Salzberg. It's all about statistics. It's this group of people who gathered for tea, or I think they gathered for tea, and just talked about stuff and leads to discussions about statistics. That's as far as I know. So, curious. It's more of a nonfiction. Then we have The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. I forgot to write down the author of this one. But, yeah, that's going to be a fun one, I think. Next we have Mistborn, which I've already read the first book of Mistborn. But I'm going to reread it because I'm going to go through the whole trilogy. So, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and then we have Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. So, all three of the original trilogy I plan to read. Now, with the first one being a reread, I will probably just do that on audio, which will work well for that. So yeah. Next we have The Lies About Truth by Courtney C. Stevens. I've kind of forgotten what this is about, but it's been on my shelf for a while, so I should read it. I am trying to clear things off my shelf by actually reading them. So that's why it's on the list. And next we have The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stain. This will definitely make me cry because I love dogs. But it's also been on my shelf for a while and needs to be read. Then we have The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. And I've heard a lot about this, so I definitely am interested. And then we have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Shirley Jackson, as you know, or maybe you don't, she's a classic author. She wrote The Yellow Wallpaper, which I did this year, which I listened to this year. So this is another one of hers. It's supposed to be a classic horror, so I might leave that to the end of the year for Halloween time. But yeah, so we have Always Lived in the Castle. And then we have Pat of Silverbush by L.M. Montgomery. I love L.M. Montgomery. The Blue Castle was fantastic. Anne of Green Gables is fantastic. So, yeah. I like her writing. I want to read more. It's on the list. Then we have Sunshine on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. If you don't know by now, I love Hunger Games. So I'm very curious to read those too. And Sunshine on the Reaping comes out in March. So I felt comfortable putting it on the list because it's early enough in the year that I might actually get it in time. Then we have By Ash, Oak, and Thorn by Melissa Harrison. This is a kid's book. Yeah, that's really all I know is it's a kid's book. It sounds wholesome, and I'm curious. Then we have The Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Rozakis. I totally messed that up, but she's the author who wrote Dreadful, which I did finish this year and loved and had a lot of fun with. And I heard about this book that's coming out. I think it comes out in January or March. I'm not sure now. Like one of those early 2025 dates. And this is about a parent of a 5-year-old who becomes a werewolf. And then they end up in like magic school. And it's a normal parent navigating magic school for her child werewolf. It sounds like fun. So next, I am going to be braving. Well, I guess it's not really brave, but these books are massive. So I'm finally going to be starting the Stormlight Archive, and these books are chunky. So this is going to be probably the majority of my time. I'm going to be using audiobooks to help me out with this because I don't think I would get through it without. So we're starting with The Way of Kings, and I want to do Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. So the first 3 Stormlight books, and then I can get to Rhythm of War and the one that just came out in 2026. That is The Hope. And then we have Wayward by Amelia Hart, which sounds fascinating and right up my alley. It's about like generations of witches in a family. I think that's what it was about. Like 3 women in different time periods, and they're all witches. So, yeah. And then you have The Way Home by Peter S. Beagle. I love The Last Unicorn. This is just, I believe, short stories from that universe, from that world. So, yeah. Nice to have something short in there. Because I don't have enough of those. And then we'll end the list with A Natural History of Dragons by Mary Brennan. I'm really not sure if I'm gonna like this, so I might DNF it. But I'm curious enough to give it a try. Because, well, it's got a cool title. The premise is catching me, but I'm not sure if it will actually be something I like. So we will see. But anyway, that is my list of books that I want to read in 2025, because I have done games that I want to play. So this is just the companion list to that. Anyway, now we're at the end of the year, so I just want to wish you a wonderful New Year's, and I hope that next year brings a lot of good things to you. Yeah, and I hope it brings good things to me too, obviously. But yeah, may we all have a wonderful 2026. We will see. At least in our personal lives, that's all I can speak to. Yeah, so I will see you in the new year. I'm not sure what videos I'll be doing. I never do. That's just kind of thing with me. I just go with the flow. Whatever pops in my head. Yeah, so I'm gonna end off and see you in 2026. Goodbye.